So the reason we started the initiative is to kind of educate everyone from the novice drinker to the veteran bartender on the importance of supporting agave spirits that are doing it right. And by doing it right, I mean they're keeping the craftsmanship and the heritage of how they're making their tequila. They're supporting the farmers with fair trade and helping them and their families continue to succeed and not exploiting them. These jimadores and mezcaleros are picking their agaves at the right time, which is helping the soil continuing to reproduce agaves. They're doing it in the right way, in the sense of they're picking their agaves at the right time, so that they can get as much of that juice as possible.
How many years is that?
Anywhere from 7 to 10 years, depending on whether it's highland or lowland. And then the soil has a lot to do with it. Rainfall has a lot to do with it. The jimadores that are picking those agaves, they know when it's time to pick them, and they know that they're right, and it's time for them to come out. So there's a lot of companies that are picking them after 3 years, maybe 2 years. And the best way that I've been able to explain to people on what that does to the agaves is, like, imagine picking a piece of citrus too quickly. And what you have to do in order to get juice out of that citrus, you've got to roll it, throw it in the microwave, whatever you can to get just a couple little bit of juice out of it. So what they do with when they do pick their agaves too early is they're using a diffuser. They're soaking their agaves in acid in order to soften them. And by the time it's all said and done, even when it comes through the diffuser, the juice has no taste. At least it doesn't resemble the taste of what agave should taste like. So that's why we have to use additives like vanilla and even in some cases coloring to some degree.
Sugar.
There's just so many different things. So the reason for the initiative is a lot of people didn't even realize a lot of the celebrity tequilas that exist right now, it's like a huge thing. It's like, you're not in as a celebrity unless you have a tequila or mezcal brand. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And in some cases, those celebrities don't even realize what they're doing.
Right. Right.
But that being said, there's a lot of brands that exist on the market right now that don't have the market dollars in order to advertise that they exist and what they're doing. So through a lot of the agave initiatives and through a lot of the educations that I've been doing here is kind of explaining people how to look up where your tequila is coming from using the nom on the back of their bottles, and really, really talking about why does this tequila taste like this, and how should we drink tequila, and how do we mix them with cocktails? I mean, you can do anything you want. I like it neat, I like it with soda, and then I definitely like it with a cocktail. So we're gonna get started on a couple cocktails. The first brand that we're gonna be using is Ojo de Tigre, which is a mezcal. I love this brand very, very much. They do so many great things, including using even everything on this bottle is recycled or biodegradable. Another company that is doing it right, if you will, as far as taking care of their mezcaleros, picking their agaves at the right time. The way that they pick agaves for mezcal versus tequila is slightly different, but regardless, they are one of the companies and one of the brands that are definitely doing it right. So I'm gonna make a variation of a daisy using Ojo de Tigre. And it's gonna be 2 ounces of mezcal. Gonna use 1 ounce of lime juice, cinnamon syrup.
How do you make the cinnamon syrup?
All the syrups are made a little differently, but when I'm using any kind of herb or spice, I usually make a tea out of it. So in this case, for the cinnamon syrup, I'll boil about 14 grams of cinnamon sticks and a liter of water. Reduce it, let it chill, and then just do equal parts of sugar to cinnamon tea. Okay, so, and then that was ½ ounce of that. We're gonna add a ½ ounce of Kahlua, but you can use any kind of coffee liqueur. Remember when I made this drink for you? I'm only making 2, so I'm gonna have to do this next round. You can use a salted rim for it, or any kind of like salt medley. I just happen to make some like salt foam. Sorry. So salt.
Do you have a name for this drink?
No.
You're about to try to make it up,
I was
right?
about to try to make it up, yes.
And what is this again that you're pouring over it?
It's just a salt foam. It would be like literally if you were to use salt at the very, just like to rim it instead, you'll get a little bit of the taste of the salt on the very first taste. Boom shakalaka.
Nice. All right, let's go right into the next brand that you've...
Got it. Come on. And pass them over. Let them try it. The next brand is Desmadre.
Okay.
Love this brand. A good friend of mine owns the business, or brought it into the country. Another brand that's definitely doing it right as well. I'm a huge supporter of a lot of the small like tequila mezcal brands that exist in giant distribution like portfolios like Southern and Young's. They don't get a lot of exposure. It's not the first brand that people pitch,
Right.
because there's some education needed, you know.
Right.
This is a brand that has been around for multiple years, that is doing it right as well. They're picking their agaves at the right time. They're taking care of their farmers. They're not using any additives. They're not using a diffuser. They have the craftsmanship behind it. This brand should be one of those big brands that exist, like the Don Julios and the Patrons of the world. But it doesn't, because again, it doesn't have the market dollars to like really advertise the brand.
Can I just ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
So, someone is trying to say right now, like there's such favoritism. Can you explain to them why you've hand selected these brands? Again, like just kind of reiterate.
There was multiple other brands that exist, obviously, that we could have chosen. It wasn't nothing personal. We just had to pick 6 of these brands, and I wasn't gonna pick the brands that weren't doing it right. And there's more of those brands that exist than the ones that are.
Right.
So has nothing to do with favoritism. I just don't like shitty tequila or mezcal.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna make that
End of story.
I forget who it was. Someone came in the other day and was like literally asked for me to shake how is it, by the way?
It's delicious. Good one.
How do we do? Like it? Someone asked me to shake a añejo tequila because one, I'm not a humongous fan of anything aged in wood, especially agave. Not to say that they're not good and they don't have their own like taste and like their niche behind them. But there was a gentleman that asked for me to shake his añejo tequila, and I was like, didn't want to say no because whatever,
hospitality,
whatever the guest wants. But I did say like, well, the reason you want me to shake it is because you don't want to taste the booze, but you want to taste the booze. Like otherwise, what's the point? If you just want to shoot it, you might as well just shoot like well vodka. Don't spend $60 on añejo tequila and then not be able to taste it when you shoot it.
Right.
Get it. Just like anyone that like shakes 1942. I mean, fuck, I've been fired for things like that. So, okay. So the next cocktail we're gonna make is gonna be a sour, and we're going to be using this madre. First off, huevito. You don't have to use an egg for a sour, although I love the mouthfeel of it. And for whatever reason, we've been using desmadre in a couple of sours. I don't know if you saw Chloe's video, but she did a sour with desmadre as well. So, huevito, egg, that's Spanish. And then citrus, 3/4 of citrus. You can use lemon or lime. In this case, I'm using lemon. 3/4 of vanilla syrup. Vanilla syrup using a vanilla bean. They're not cheap, so you can like really push the limit when it comes to that vanilla bean because there's a lot of flavor in it. Usually, you can get about 1 liter out of every bean for syrup. Usually. Boom, boom, and then we're gonna add 2 blackberries. If they're ripe and smushy, that's probably best because you'll get a lot of the color out of it. And then we're adding the juice, the desmadre juice. And I don't know if Marco is watching right now, but what's up, guy?
It's a great brand. I love his passion and why he started it. It's always so great to hear the story why someone starts a brand.
And if anybody watching right now like has an opportunity to actually look it up, their story is fantastic. It will grow as a company within the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Huevitos. Did you like it? You try it? Yeah. How you doing, Bubba?
Coley says, let's see the shake face.
Tell Coley shut up. Lisa's here.
Yep. There's Lisa.
Yeah.
Quiet on the set.
Quiet, take 25.
It's right here, sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Reverse dry shake that shit.
Let's hear about the argument of some people shake, wet shake, dry shake, and vice versa. That's always fun.
I don't believe that there's necessarily a. If you look at the science behind it, the reverse dry shake is the way to do it to get the most head. But sometimes you can get just as much head off of a cocktail when you have a high volume bar just by hard shaking in general.
Right.
But this was a reverse dry shake. And hopefully get some head out of this.
So I know you've been working with Desmadre a lot.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about the brand.
As far as like Blanco tequilas, they have a reposado. I'm a bigger fan of their Blanco in general. A lot of pepper, like off the bat. There's no hiding like anything about what is in this juice. It's water, yeast, and agave. And the only difference when it comes to number one, highland, lowland,
That's delicious.
And literally anything is you know for a fact when you're tasting the agave, and it's a punch of agave.
Right.
You know, and he did it right. They continue to do it right. I'm a big fan of this brand. I wish more people knew about it. I wish more people had it like on their back bar. This is definitely one of the brands that if I went to a bar and saw this on the back bar, I'm like, okay, well at least somebody knows something about tequila here.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. Boom shakalaka. All right, these are some sours. You know?
Awesome. All right.
Cool. Next.
Tell us about the next brand.
Next brand. Probably the favorite, or not the favorite. I shouldn't say that. One of my favorites.
One of the favorites.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the favorites just because of where it comes from. My father's from Michoacan. There's something very nostalgic about La Luna as far as aroma, as far as taste, because mezcal and the way the agaves like really take from the soil of wherever their agaves are growing has definitely captured the like essence of Michoacan and a lot of the smell and flavor that you would get from the food. So it is said that mezcaleros pick their agaves every 100 moons. Picking their agaves at a full moon and replanting their agaves in a new moon. And there's something very romantic about that because not a lot of spirits are made this way. One, you have to be patient enough to wait for these agaves to grow between 8 to 10 years at a time. And you don't make nearly as much money on that investment. But because they care so much about the culture and the ritual and the craftsmanship behind making this kind of spirit, I mean, this should be $100 bottle of mezcal. You know, I wouldn't pay it, but but that's what it should cost. You know? Like really, what it is. What it is it's just a lot of hard work and a lot of labor, and it just makes it. It makes me really, really sad when I hear about brands that don't get enough exposure, and then the brands that do get exposure. Yeah, you know, like
Don't
yeah.
say any more brands.
I won't say it.
You can say, like, you can generalize. I mean,
So I've made two different types of cocktail as far as cocktail families. The first was the Daisy cocktail. The second was a sour. This is going to be a buck style cocktail. And we're going to use 2 ounces of La Luna. And La Luna has multiple different types of mezcales because they're using different agave plants. But I guess their staple is the cubierta. It used to be in a white label, but now it's a black label. And I think I'm pretty sure they have 12 different types of agaves that they're using for their mezcales. an ensemble. We carry a couple of them here.
It's a great brand. I love it.
Well, this is another one for anybody that isn't too sure about mezcal and they like need a real easy, smooth blanket ride into trying it. This is the one that you want to get.
Interesting.
So we're doing 2 ounces of the juice, 3/4 of citrus. In this case, we're using lemon. Made a turmeric syrup. You can use just go to Trader Joe's and get like one of those turmeric shots, and then do like a 1/4 ounce of sugar. And you'll get the same thing. And then we're gonna top it with ginger beer.
So someone's asking, is it La Luna aged at all?
No, negative. They don't have a reposado or añejo as far as I know. I'm sure that Mezcalito has something like in their backyard, but no, for the most part, negative. It is not aged.
Okay.
I mean, the agaves are aged.
Yeah. Right.
And if you guys want another one of any of these cocktails, let me know. I'll remake them.
Nice.
But this one's good. Joe!
So let's just go and sum up
Sure.
as a final.
As a final.
Yeah, let's put our 3 brands up.
Cool.
And why you hand selected these brands.
Well, through like the years of doing this and consulting and working with multiple different bars, you make friends with different brands, and I tend to support all of the brands that I believe are doing something good for wherever they're coming from, for the people in which they're coming from, and then also for our industry. Our industry is so important. We are not going anywhere, and I feel like we definitely should be educated enough as, you know, from novice bartender to the veteran bartender, on what all of these brands are doing and how supporting these brands affects like the longevity of not only the spirits that exist in our country coming into our country, but also, you know, in some cases right now because of the pandemic, we can't even get certain brands, and those are the big brands that aren't really doing it right. So right now is the perfect opportunity to start educating yourself a little bit more on the brands that are. These are just a few of the examples, but right now currently at O'Donovan's, at Keytown Social, we probably have the best agave list in the IE, and all I want to do is really talk about these brands, more brands coming in on who's doing it right, what that means, and how we can continue to support them, and where you can get them. You can get them here, by the way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.